Okay, welcome to another Zoom call. It is the 8th of February. A lot of people jumping in here, so what's the beep noise? We'll see. If you are listening to this, remember that we can now do cheek swabs again. We do right programming through that. Depends on what you check on the cheek swab form. So please go to the member site and look at the homepage or the cheek swab page or the testing page. All the information on doing cheek swabs is on there. The form that you fill out on there, please pay if you can for the cheek swab testing on there as well. We have less staff. Ashley's not with us. Anna's not with us anymore. And so there, everybody knows what's going on with Ann. Ashley had a baby, being a good mom to her baby girl. So if you could pay on there so we don't have to do invoicing, that would be one last step that Angie has to do. Of course, you remember that you can get on any of the courses using your same username and password. And we updated some of the top bar, the search bar and such on the private membership site as well. Underneath the Rife, I can't do this because this is a screenshot, but underneath the Rife, if you hovered over Rife here, it's got several pages to look at. If you hover over care, then you'll see multiple pages, which are the testing and the binder review and the cheek swab testing and things like that, other resources. And this is how you get on the Zoom calls. We have the blog page. You can access the blog page right there now. We added that. Dustin added that today. Plus you have the search bar. So the blog page, again, is not on our regular website any longer. So there's on our regular website, it's very truncated. We had to shortcut a lot of stuff off of there because of the lawsuit with the Minnesota board. Now, praise God, the lawsuit with the Minnesota board, that has all been dismissed. So the only thing that they required us to do was to add the bottom of every web page a silly little statement that we already had out there, but they had to word it a certain way that we don't practice medicine in the state of Minnesota. So it's just ridiculous because it was actually less than we already had. It's just, I tell you, like tyranny. But make sure you search the blog here for questions that you might have too. I will be now starting to add to the blog some of our pages that we used to have on our website that we had to take down are now going to be on our full membership site. So this full membership site is going to get bigger and bigger. I apologize, but it will all be applicable to the search bar. So you can search through that as well. Okay, we have a lot of questions that involve multiple questions here. So let's get going here. Recently had restaging after 9 full months of Cutter's clinic protocol, still stage 3 colon cancer. Tumor was 7 centimeters, now 7.5 centimeters. New colon, the sigmoid colon circumferential wall thickening suggests colitis. Stable to minimally decreased lymph nodes, 7 in all, most very small. Largest went from 9 millimeters to 6 millimeters. Clean liver, clean lungs. Medical team recommending radiation with chemo pills followed by surgery. Same recommendations as 9 months ago. They definitely push you along. Not too excited about radiation or chemo. Open to surgery, but with surgery alone, there's a risk of not removing all cancer. If you follow all the recommendations, pending no complications, they give you a 73% chance of success for 5 years. Continue with current protocol and distance metastasis, 17%. Comments. Yeah, it's hard when you're given these percentiles with oncologists because they are such rubber numbers. There's so many people that do different things, aren't just doing chemo and radiation and surgery, drop off. I just don't know how they can actually keep, giving you projectile numbers. Now, Because the truth is, you probably everybody knows somebody here that has had a similar cancer to theirs that did everything medical oncology, recommended, and their outcome wasn't good. It doesn't mean yours won't be because you're doing a whole lot of other things. So again, I'm not against doing any of these things. It's again the way I decide for myself is that I look at what their statistics are, and um, and then I pray about it and say, okay, this is what I want to do. I don't want to do chemo. Let's say that's me. But I'm open to doing chemo if God pushes me in that direction. So you really got to feel if you're being pushed or led in that direction. Um, I really, I can't comment beyond that whether a person should do a medical treatment. That's the kind of thing that gets us into trouble. So I am 2 years post mastectomy, ER positive cancer, and 3 years post hysterectomy for fibroids, something totally different, not cancer. Taking IP6, TumeroClear, which is a turmeric, Clear Estrodim, which is a DIM product to decrease bad estrogen, sulforazyme, which is a broccoli product and to decrease bad estrogens. Pectosol C, which is a binder and it can grab onto circulating tumor cells. Doing coffee enemas daily, great for stimulating the parasympathetics. Doing the Rife nightly, left a toxic job. Interesting comment there. This person is recognizing that emotions play such a part in a person's health. If you're under a very stressful situation, whether it's a relationship or a job environment, what does that do? It puts you in a sympathetic overdrive. Your parasympathetics go into the toilet, and you need a parasympathetic stimulation in order to stimulate an immune response and in order to stimulate detoxification pathways. So you're in this hypersympathetic situation because of the environment, relationships that you're in. It can be very difficult. Overall feeling well, but I've recently started having hot flashes. Okay, so why does a person have hot flashes? So women have hot flashes when they're going through their change of life, they're going through menopause, and they're having a decrease in production of estrogen and progesterone by their ovaries. So when your ovaries start to shut down, you could have hot flashes. Why doesn't every woman have hot flashes? I know somebody who they went through menopause and it was just fine. They never had any symptoms whatsoever. The reason is that if you have really healthy adrenals, your adrenals also produce some estrogen. So the person that goes through menopause and has no side effects, no hot flashes, is a person who had very healthy adrenals. So that while their ovaries were shutting down, their adrenals were giving them just enough estrogen to keep them from having hot flashes. Now, the issue is person's ER positive and they're taking things to decrease estrogens. That alone can cause hot flashes. So if you have an ER positive, even though you're 2 years post mastectomy and you got a clean bill of health, you don't want to be adding things. So let's say a person did not have cancer, no history of cancer, they had hot flashes. I would recommend a product with different herbs in it, like black cohosh and maca root, that can help balance your estrogens, and products that may be soy derived estrogen precursors that can really help balance a person's estrogens to decrease their hot flashes during that change of life. But if you're ER positive, history of ER positive cancer, you really can't do that. So then what would I do? I would use adaptogens. So this person goes on to explain other symptoms that they're having, menopausal symptoms. What would I do that's a safe thing is use adaptogens. So, and that we have the We have the Adaptoclear. That's a good one. We also have the Premier Research Lab. I think it's called Adaptogens R3. We have several from Orthomolecular, but they're not on the website since Orthomolecular doesn't let us put stuff on the website anymore, so you'd have to call in for that. The one I like best from them is the new Adapt. And then there are, and then we have also our Cortoclear, which is a good adaptogen too. So there's multiple adaptogens to choose from. Well, what should I do? If it was me, I would start with the Adaptoclear. Start by taking 3 a day. That can help. You don't want to do things to help stimulate estrogen if you had ER positive cancer. That's the problem. That would be the easiest way to get rid of your. You could be taking some estrogen precursors, and you could basically shut down all your hot flashes and such. But that could be bad for the cancer, so you wouldn't want to do that. You muscle test everyone for mistletoe. I'm assuming this is what in the cheek swab test, the answer is no. You'll have to ask for that. That is technically not a nutritive. So the mistletoe therapy is an injectable and an IV. We used to, when people came in the office, we test for mistletoe, but we don't on a regular basis. So that's something you'll have to ask for. So remember, when you do your cheek swab testing, you fill out that form and you ask for whatever you want me to test you for. Just remember the cost is based upon time. So if you give me a list of 50 different things, it's going to take a little bit longer to do. I have breast cancer that it has mets to the bone. Right now I'm taking Zometa infusion. So Zometa is a class of drugs. This is the brand name of the drug. Zometa helps in the idea of Zometa helps increase bone density. Now Zometa is a class of drugs that came out years ago, 20 years ago, I think. And I've never been a fan of it because I have to get too technical, but your bone has layers to it. You have the outer part of the bone called the periosteum. Osteo means bone. Peri means outer part of the bone, periosteum. And then you have the inner part of the bone called the endosteum. The endosteum is really what you want to increase density. That's what gives your bone strength, not the periosteum. The purpose of the periosteum is for muscle attachment, ligament attachment. That's what attaches to the periosteum. You don't want to increase the density of the periosteum. You want to increase the density of the endosteum. The problem is Zometa and Zometa-like drugs in that class increase the density of the periosteum. This is very well documented. Matter of fact, they started using Zometa when it first came out for osteoporosis. The problem is several years after using it, they did a 5-year study on women using the drug, and they found that there was no decrease in the amount of fractures, osteoporotic fractures, pathological fractures. Well, why is that? They're taking this drug that's going to increase the density of the bone. Well, they found that it actually just increases the density of the periosteum, making hard and brittle bones. Matter of fact, it gets worse because it's like putting cellophane or saran wrap around your bones so you can't even absorb things into the endosteum. So I know oncologists are really big into using Zometa infusions when a person has mets to the bones. It's just my opinion. I'm not a fan. I just don't think it helps at all. So are there things from a natural perspective that you could take? Yes, there is. We have a bone building bundle in our store. So that is a bundle that we use that we recommend specifically for this. Is I think there's 3 different nutritional products in that bone building bundle. So you can look that up on the store. Started taking multivitamin. Well, that's a good start last week with 80K Supreme. That's good. So The D is important to help get nutrition, get calcium into the bone, and the multivitamin has a good balance of different multiples. When I am ready to drop the Ibrance, False Max, hormone shots, and Zometa, can I drop all at once, or should I drop one at a time? Can't really legally comment on that. That's something you're going to have to ask the prescribing doctor. Yeah, I can't really say anything about that. I got a bottle of mimosa seeds to expel parasites. It says to take 2 pills a day. So mimosa is a product that we use a lot with our Lyme patients over the years. It's nice because it kills directly. It doesn't work to stimulate an immune response, which is not good if you're in phase 3 Lyme and you have an autoimmune condition type Lyme. So that's good. But my probiotics say to take on an empty stomach, just as this does. Does taking the seeds ruin the effects of the probiotics plus the supplements I take the rest of the day by pulling them out of the body as well? No, I think I would just try to leave it like 15 minutes away from each other, and they may never even see each other in the gut. So you'd be fine on that. I don't think mimosa is going to damage your gut flora at all. I've never heard of that happening. We have used it it's a very safe product, and I don't think it's going to affect your probiotics. I had a full body thermography done. It showed that my immune system is low. I'll send you the report so you can advise. Well, I want to comment on that right there, because I know lots of times the radiologists, when they look at that, they'll say your immune system is low because maybe you have some increased heat or decreased heat around the thymus. Let's just be honest. You cannot tell a person's immune system is low by looking at a thermography. So that is just silliness. Sorry. So it doesn't mean your immune system isn't low, but I'll tell you, you can't look at a thermography and say your immune system is low. So I wouldn't trust that. Based on the above, I was going to try a 40-day fast. Well, I think it's a bad idea. So 40-day fast, remember we talked about this. Fasting more than 24 hours increases IGF-1 levels. Well, for a person who doesn't have cancer, that's a good thing. You want to increase IGF-1 levels. That's will increase growth factors, that will increase overall health. Doing longer fasts can be really good for you. But with the person with cancer, you really don't want to raise IGF-1 levels. So I personally would not recommend over a 24-hour fast with anybody with any history of cancer. You could do a fasting mimicking diet, which is a 5-day fast, but you're not in a true fast. There's been tons of studies on the fasting mimicking diet that shows that it does not raise IGF-1 levels. So it's safe for cancer. It's very good for cancer. So the fasting mimicking diet is a 5-day food plan. We sell it, other practitioners sell it. We have it in the store. It's called the FMD. I have multiple videos on the FMD. That would be the maximum that I would say to do. Should I start doing coffee enemas now? Should have started doing coffee enemas a long time ago. But coffee enemas are good for everybody, unless you got, rectal cancer and you can't insert the enema tube. There's different people that, they just can't do coffee enemas. But everybody else should be doing coffee enemas. So yes, I think that's a good idea to do. Anything else I can do to boost my immunity? Really, all your supplements, your immune supplements are things that are going to boost your immunity, plus coffee enemas, because what is the neurological stimulation of your immune system? It's your parasympathetics. So anytime you can stimulate parasympathetics, coffee enemas are a great way to do so. Also look on the blog here, look up parasympathetic, sympathetic, and you'll see all the vagal nerve stimulation exercises and the sympathetic calming, the mesencephalic exercise that calm the mesencephalon, where the part of the brain where the sympathetics are housed. Dr. Simonici has a protocol for colorectal cancer, which includes sodium bicarbonate enemas. I'm all for sodium bicarbonate enemas for colorectal cancer. Personally, I have not done them, but I would say that there is really no downside to doing them, really. He recommends 6 days on, 6 days off for 4 cycles with instructions on the below website, this website here, on how to do that. What are your thoughts specifically on the enemas? Have you worked with this in clinical experience? I have. We've had people do sodium bicarbonate enemas. Um, everybody that works with us is doing a lot of different things. So I don't know that there was major changes with that, but you have a very good, the person who asked this question has a very good track record of kind of, seeing, what's working and what's not working and kind of documenting their care. So I would jump on board with this. It's a great possible addition to your protocol. As far as the IV sodium bicarbonate, I can't really comment on that. I don't know how you would do that. Your blood has all these buffering systems. I don't know if you could do IV. I don't know how you can work. So, have you heard of radiosurgery done by Dr. Lederman in New York City? No, I don't know that person, so I have not heard that. It's an intense type of focused radiation therapy that's supposed to be well tolerated, a lot less treatments, a lot less invasive than regular radiation therapy. His before and after pictures are amazing. I will look up his site. Thank you for that. This is the nice thing about this group is we've had people that have used different surgeons that they really like. We've had people do different laser mastectomy. Unfortunately, the doctor that does that laser mastectomy is retired now. That was less invasive and less damaging. But there may be somebody else that does it. So we used to have that doctor's information up on our website for our members, but we took it down because he retired. So I will look at this person's website and get this information up on our website if I think it's really would be a good choice for some people. Okay, a long question here. I was researching side effects of hormone blockers that my oncologist wanted to use to shrink my tumors. In an article, some women had memory fog for 10 years or more. Don't know how many people get the worst side effects, but after reading that, I almost prefer the breast surgery, which requires massive reconstruction. I'm gonna stop this because just because you have breast surgery doesn't mean that you have to do reconstructive breast surgery. So, there's women that are okay with not having breasts anymore. So it doesn't mean you have to do the massive reconstruction. Do you think I'm overreacting to the side effects, I think. Yeah, yes and no. I don't think you're overreacting. I think you need to be as cautious as possible and work out this the way you need to work through this in your mind. I would caution you, but just because some people have had just horrible side effects of something doesn't mean you're going to have them. So, yeah, just take that into consideration when you're looking at, just because you hear the worst of it, understand that that doesn't have to include you either. So I don't know what to do. The only thing I can think of is to double down on the natural aromatase inhibitors. And that's what you're taking with the supplements right now. That's what you're talking about. On Clear Dim right now, what kind of protocol can you suggest that I could present to oncologists as a compromise to reduce the tumors? There isn't a protocol under the sun that you could suggest to your oncologist as a compromise. They're not going to accept that. So So I don't think that is something that you want to get into an argument with your oncologist. You said last week that the estrogen itself isn't the cause of the cancer. So what else do I have to take more of so the tumors shrink as the estrogen diminishes? I feel like I'm running out of time before the tumor comes through the skin. I sense your sense of urgency, and you already are doing a lot of things. And if your tumor is very noticeably getting larger or getting closer to the skin surface or bulging out, and you do have to think about maybe adding some standards of care. I must be ready if it comes through, since I do not want to be rushed into anything. I agree. You don't want to be making decisions based upon an emergency, so you want to have time to think through these decisions beforehand. A holistic doc I know recommended Zymogen products for natural hormone balance, Myronase and Oncoplex. So Oncoplex with Myronase is the product that we sell in our store too. And it's a good product, but I am still in favor of the sulfurazyme by US Enzymes as a better product. That is literally the same thing, but US Enzymes has a reputation of having a cleaner product. I personally know the doctor that formulated the sulfurazyme is a friend of mine, and it took them a long time to get, took them over a year to find a source with the purest sulfur product with the purest Myronase in it. So I would suggest the sulfurazyme by US Enzymes versus the Zymogen. And I like Zymogen products, we sell them, but I just think the US Enzymes is a far superior product. I found a legitimate GCMAF source through a trusted natural doc in Michigan. If you would like his info, you could email it to me. That would be great. You're going to try that. Okay, that's fantastic too. It's another good thing to try. Okay, your questions on the chat. A good liposomal seed. I use Mercola now. So Mercola, understand, he doesn't make any of the supplements. His are all private label, just like ours are. Our name with our name on it are just private label too. Really, the best liposomal seed now is the one from Numedica, and we private label that one. So the Numedica brand, it's because of what they use as the fat. So we call it clear liposomal C, I think. It's on our store. It's sold in our private label as clear liposomal C, or it's sold in the Numedica label, just liposomal C in the Numedica brand. Those are the best brands. I use the clear CurcuClear, which is Numedica's clear, Numedica's liposomal curcumin. I just love that product. I take that all the time now. It really helps with just total body inflammation. Also, side note, there are private label GlutatClear, which is a liposomal glutathione. It's just a great product to help just with detox pathways too. I take that one as well. With low dose naltrexone, 0.5 milligrams starting out daily is the protocol to increase after some time. Yes. So again, you'll have to talk to the prescribing doctor since this is a medication, but I can tell you what is the typical dosage. Typical low dose naltrexone, you start at 1.5. So I don't know why this doctor has you starting at 0.5. The typical low dose naltrexone, you start at 1.5 for a couple weeks, then you move up to 3.0 for a couple weeks, and then you move to 4.5, depending on the person's weight. So if they're a TD person, they might just stay at 3.0. But if they're a male of 170 to 250 pounds, you'll go up to 4.5 milligrams. So I don't know why you're starting at such a low dose. You'll have to ask your prescribing doctor. With mistletoe IV or injection, is this worth trying? Yeah, I think it's worth trying. The only thing I'd caution anybody about is don't try too many things at the same time. You don't know what's really helping you. Mistletoe IV and mistletoe injections. The whole idea of mistletoe, it's an irritant that stimulates an immune response. So there are side effects to that. So you'll get a fever, you could feel icky. There's a bunch different side effects that go along with mistletoe. And quite honestly, that actually means it's working. So if you're doing mistletoe injections in your belly, you do it above your belly button, and you're not getting this huge red reaction, this irritation, then you're not using the correct dosage. So you just remember that. What does a 40-day fast do that is bad for cancer patients? Didn't quite understand the significance. It raises IGF-1 levels. Any fast over 24 hours increases IGF-1 levels, which is a type of growth hormone stimulant. So you don't want excess growth hormone in your body if you have cancer. So doing a 40-day fast can have negatives. Now, let's say, I will say one thing. I've had people that did a 40-day, or not a 40-day, but did a longer fast, like a 10-day fast, because they felt spiritually led to that. They felt God was leading them to do that. Well, then by all means, listen to what God says. Don't listen to what the research says. But the research out there is you don't fast more than 24 hours. That's the research for cancer patients. Unless you're doing a fasting mimicking diet, which doesn't raise IGF-1 levels. Per my recent Dutch test, my E1, E2, and total estrogens are below postmenopausal range. Yeah, that's actually a good thing. So should I go off the sulfurazyme for a bit? No. If it's not like affecting you, like you're feeling horrible, you just have no energy, you don't feel like a woman, you have vaginal dryness, you have blah, 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 all these different things that have super low estrogen. No, this is what you want. You are decreasing your estrogen load. And I remember your test, your 16-hydroxyestrone was like super low. That was beautiful. You know, you don't want this, you're right where you want to be. Also, it said my phase 1 detoxification pathway for metabolism is not ideal. That just means it's decreased. Everything on your test was good except the cortisol issue. So that's the thing that you really only need to address. I wouldn't worry about anything else with that. I have to drink Kate Farm protein drinks to gain weight. I get horrible gas from the drinks. They all make me feel bloated. Any suggestions? Okay, so really, Kate Farm protein drinks aren't going to make you really gain a whole lot of weight. If you want to gain weight, you have to eat more carbohydrates. That's just the general rule. Doesn't mean that people are deficient, can't be deficient in protein. I'm not sure what's in the Kate Farm protein drinks. I would suggest if you're going to do a protein drink that you use the US Enzymes brand. Sounds like I'm really hip on the US Enzymes brand, but the reason why we carry that and we only recommend the US Enzymes brand, and they have a vanilla and or a chocolate, is because it's low in glutamine. So I don't know what Kate Farm's glutamine levels are in that, but the US Enzymes brand chocolate or vanilla is low in glutamine. A lot of our cancer members are using that. It actually tastes really good in a shake too. It's a good, and these are, again, the reason why I like US Enzymes is the cleanness of the source. They are literally anal about their purity of their supplements more than any other company that's out there. That's why they have such a small line. Because they're so strict with they're rigid with their requirements. But to fully answer that question, what do you do when you get gas or bloating after you eat anything? Okay. Why do you get that? Well, the reason why you get that is because you have improper digestion. So now you could get gas and bloating because you just ate, a chili with a whole bunch of beans, which produced a whole bunch of gas. And okay, well, that maybe not be a good example, but even at that, how can one person eat chili and get a little bit of gas, not so bad, and another person ate the same amount of chili and they're just totally gassy and bloated? It's because of improper digestion. So the answer to that is you take some sort of digestive enzymes with your meal. So you either take, digestive enzymes like US enzymes, digestines, or you could take the HCl zyme by US enzyme, or you can take our Clear Digest. Understand US Enzymes parent company makes a lot of the enzymes that they then sell to most of the other supplement companies. So most of the digestive enzymes in any good supplements are actually US enzymes. So if unless you're buying something at Walmart or something like that, anything you buy at our store, we have the Clear Digest private label from Designs for Health. It's the US enzyme. Even Now brand uses US enzymes. So the HCl plus the digestive enzymes helps break down more food in your gut, in your stomach, I mean, and then the digestive enzymes help break down more of the proteins in your intestinal tract. So if you ever have bloating or a lot of gas, and why am I getting that? You have improper digestion. You need to start taking digestive enzymes with your food. If my breast tumor comes through my skin, what do I do? Well, you have a lot of choices. If the breast tumor comes through your skin, and you're gonna be either going down a surgical route, most likely with an oncologist, or you could use topical things on it. So we have patients that have used topical, like bloodroot salves on their tumor. It gets very messy. It gets very complicated. You have to be very diligent what you're doing and cleaning it. I don't want to scare you away. We have some people that, truly believe they saved their life by that tumor coming through and them using topical, but you have to be very diligent for a very long time. And we have some people that, even though they were able to treat it topically, the tumor continued to grow underneath and it didn't work. So there is no perfect solution. So don't let any practitioner tell you that it is. Either standards of care practitioner or alternative practitioner, there is no perfect solution to anything. So, I know you are very anxious about that and very nervous about that. You are probably one that you would have a more difficult time if the tumor breaks through the skin. I'm not trying to make a judgment there, but just by hearing your anxiety over that, I really think that you need to continue to investigate some sort of, combination with standards of care. And understand there's been people that have done surgery to remove their breasts, and that was 10 years ago, and they're still going strong because they've done a whole bunch of other things like you're doing. So you may not have any of the negative outcomes of doing standards of care because you're doing so many other positive things. I just got a text message from Anne, and I'll relay that. AJ, her son with acute myeloid leukemia, very serious leukemia, is doing this protocol of chemotherapy that's very, very strong chemotherapy. She just said he was sick for 1.5 days last week, bounced back quickly, and now with a break and no chemo. So He has to do, I think, 5 doses of the super, super heavy chemo. This was his second dose, and he's just bounced back and is doing really well because he's doing all this other natural stuff and using the right constantly. So, where you don't hear that very often with somebody doing really, really tough chemo, it can really knock their socks off. So, don't think you're going to have the horrible side effects that you listed back here in your question just because somebody else had those side effects. I have 3-foot bath programs. One of them used to make the water black when I was done. Now, when I finish this program, the water is dark green. Does this change indicate anything? Well, if you looked up on the internet, you'll see that, oh, dark green, it means it's pulling more out of your gallbladder. There's just not a whole lot of complete science behind that. So I wouldn't put any, a whole lot of validity to that. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. We just don't know that. So until somebody is willing to take a sample of that and bring it down to an organic chemistry lab and give an analysis of what is actually in there, if there's any bile in there, then I'm sorry, but I just have a hard time believing that. That's where I think you just have to be careful with that information. So personally, do I think that dark green is indicating anything? Quite possibly, no, not at all. Could actually just be the different minerals that are in the water that change that color. So I wouldn't be concerned about that. Would you recommend taking I think you're talking about zeolite, zeolite binder, morning or evening? I do my enemas in the morning. So different binders. When should you take a binder? How much should you take with binders? Binders are things that you ingest, that you absorb very little of it, and it binds stuff in the gut so that you don't reabsorb things. So you really want binders in your gut all day long. So if you're taking binders throughout the day is best. Is it better in morning or evening? Probably the answer is yes. It's better to have it in the gut morning and evening. So take some in the morning, split up your supplements throughout the day, or you're going to lose them. They all have a half-life in your body. So it's better to split them up. So, okay, so if I wanted to try to reduce my breast tumors with natural hormone blockers, what do I try? I'm only on the Clear-Dim now. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that taking a whole bunch of natural hormone blockers is going to reduce your tumor. But if you want to add to that, you could add AromaClear. Type it in here. You could add a product that is called AromaClear. You could add a product called EstroClear. They're all a little bit different. So AromaClear has 3 different estrogen decreasers, chelators, binders. EstroClear is a lignin product that helps decrease estrogen. The Sulfora Zyme by US Enzymes is the same thing as the OncoClear with Myronase from Zymogen that you asked about before, but I think it's a much better quality product. So if you're going to start with one of these, I would start with this one, and I would take 3 to 6 per day if you really want to hit it hard. And then the other thing that you could take that helps dislodge, so these are things that will decrease bad estrogens. And there's another thing that will help dislodge bad estrogens from the receptor site itself. So the idea about bad estrogens and ER-positive cancers is that the estrogens block this certain estrogen receptor on the cell membrane of a cancer, and that estrogen receptor is actually an apoptotic receptor. So it's blocking apoptosis. The one thing that's been shown to help remove this is the Hyalin 951. So Highland 951 is a fermented soy. It's a liquid. It comes in a bottle, 8 ounces. And actually, the manufacturer suggests that you take 1 bottle per day. Now, problem is it's an expensive product. I think it's $59 for a bottle. You're taking $59 bottle a day on that. Well, if you're really, really, really trying to avoid any medical things, then that's a choice that you have to make. Now we have people taking anywhere between 1 and 6 tablespoons a day, which can be a third of a bottle. We have some people that are taking a bottle a day. Trying that for 30 days or 60 days might be a choice to take. Another thing that I just talked about last week, I just did an interview with the product, the owner of the company, that I don't think it's been released yet, is Betagene, and in its higher dose is the oxalo acetate. I think it's called fatigue. It's oxaloacetate FMS or something like that. That's in the higher dose. So this is a very expensive product too. It costs about 400, I think it's $500 a bottle, but a bottle lasts you 1 month. So it's actually cheaper than the Highland. But they've actually done studies on this with breast cancer. The oxaloacetate, this high dose oxaloacetate, take it as directed on the bottle. I think it's 3 pills a day. The bottle will last you 1 month. It's a pricey product, but they've shown that it's taken stage 4 breast cancer people and put them into remission. Now, I talked to the owner. He couldn't say that in the interview, so it won't be anything like that in the interview. Oh, it's called oxaloacetate, CFS, because the only thing they can talk about it with is chronic fatigue syndrome. But we actually have people buying it with very, very serious chronic fatigue syndrome and post-COVID, long-haul COVID, because it's shown to take away those symptoms. And the metabolic pathway that it's disturbing is the blockages that a person has in the Krebs cycle that pushes energy consumption talk about with cancer, energy consumption for cancer patients into the Warburg effect. So you basically are blocking the Warburg effect. So it can actually be, theoretically, it could be good for any type of cancer. Originally, the studies on oxaloacetate were on astrocytoma and glioblastoma, and now they're actually, I told everybody this last week, that they're just starting a study with Mayo Clinic on glioblastoma with oxaloacetate this month. So very promising nutraceutical that you could get just over the counter. It's just a pill that you take. There's really no side effects with. It's just pricey. We have a couple of people on it, really haven't had enough time to see if it's really going to make a difference yet. Do the drug hormone blockers work really fast to reduce tumors? People can take the drug hormone blockers and it doesn't reduce the tumor at all. So people can take the drug hormone blockers and it does reduce the tumor, but I wouldn't say anything's going to work really fast. Again, it's hard to give these clear black and white answers to these things, because everybody's different, and how you react to something is going to be very different than somebody else. So do you know the body bounces back or be thrown into menopause? You will go into a medically induced menopause right away. That's how you know it's working. So if you don't, then it's not working at all. So you really, that's the whole purpose of those drugs, is to take away all your estrogens. So in regards to the extreme gas when eating greens, what is the best enzyme to take? I would do the HCl enzyme. because greens also have carbohydrates in them. So the digestive enzymes, any digestive enzymes in themselves really are working in a small and large intestine and do most their work on proteins and fats, if there's lipase in there too. And there's some digestive enzymes that also work on carbohydrates. In your body, they're secreted in your carotid glands. But in your stomach, you have HCl that's secreted. You don't secrete any enzymes in your stomach. HCl is secreted in your stomach, and many times it's an HCl deficiency. That is probably the most common deficiency across the board, is an HCl deficiency. Because of our diets, our stomach doesn't produce as much HCl as it should, and we eat way more calories than we should, and we end up with deficiency in HCl. So if you have any issues with carbohydrates, it really should be the HCl side. If it's solely proteins that you have issues with, then you could just take digestive enzymes. The reason why I like HCl Zyme is it's got HCl plus digestive enzymes in it. Plus so does our Clear Digest. That's why we private label that. I can't private label any of the US enzyme products right now. They're just too small of a company to let me do that. The Clear Digest that we private label from Science for Health is got HCl and all these enzymes in it as well. And as far as dosing them, as far as with the gas, you have to dose these. So you start with taking 1 per meal, okay? And that's not helping. And I'd give it a week. That's not helping. Then you go to 2 per meal. That's still not helping. Give it a week, give it maybe 3, 4, 5 days, okay? And then you go to 3 per meal. And I've had people have to get up to 7 or 8 per meal. And then finally, it takes away their issues. And then you start to titrate down. So you get up to 7 or 8 a meal, and finally, this is really, really helping. And then, then you can start, all I got to do is just take 6 now. I know I got to take 5. Now I'm just going to take, and it's really dependent upon the size of the meal too. So if you're just eating something small, you might not take any. So that's how you got to play with that dosage. And then you're basically giving your stomach and your pancreas a break by taking those. And then you can slowly titrate down. And I'm getting my problem back at 1. I got to go back up to 2, and you find what's perfect for you. You mentioned vaginal dryness, which I've never had until now. Can vitamins be causing this? No, it's the decrease in estrogen that would be causing that. So, and if you have an estrogen, positive cancer or a PR or HER2 positive cancer, you don't want to increase your estrogen. So that's where I'd go back to, what did I say up here? Go back to adaptogens. So adaptogens are going to help support your adrenal gland, your pituitary, and your thyroid. That's the beauty of adaptogens, just help balance it, don't allow it to get over producing. It will help keep that balanced as best as possible. Can cancer cells become resistant to a supplement taken for a long time without breaks? Sure. Cancer cells can do anything that they want to do. That's rule number 1. I heard that from Dr. V. I've been taking IP6 since last year. I was thinking of taking a break. Yep. Remember we talked about pulsing. You can take a break and maybe go off a week, go back on for 3 weeks, off a week, on for 3 weeks. Or you can pulse. I'm going to take it Monday through Friday. I'm not going to take my supplements on the weekend. So there's different ways to pulse it. I have Betagene by AOR 100 milligrams. Is that the same? So Betagene, okay, let me pull it up here real quick. Okay. I don't remember the doses of all these things. So you have the Betagene. So the Betagene is oxaloacetate at 100 milligrams. Yep. That's so where we talking about oxaloacetate? So you have the Betagene. Betagene is Benadryl, understand the same company makes both of these just under the different label. So Benadryl is the 100 milligrams of oxaloacetate, all right? So the oxaloacetate CFS is, and this is, and understand the Benadryl is 100 milligrams per 2 capsules. So it's 2 capsules per day gives, oh, let's see, I gotta go back. Hold on a second. I don't think that's right. So the Benadryl is 100 milligrams per capsule. That's what it is, 100 milligrams per capsule, but there's 30 capsules per bottle. The oxaloacetate is 500 milligrams per capsule, and there's 90 capsules per bottle. So it is literally, it's a lot less expensive to use. Not a lot, but it is less expensive to use. If you'd have to buy a whole lot of bottles of the Benadryl. They just literally formulated it to the study of taking 1,500 milligrams per day. So if you were going to take 1,500 milligrams a day of oxaloacetate CFS, you're taking 3 capsules a day, 1 in the morning, 1 at noon, 1 at night. If you're taking 1,500 milligrams of the Benadryl, you're taking 5 in the morning, 5 at noon, 5 at night. A bottle is only going to last you 2 days. So you can see it's going to actually be a whole lot more expensive. So they formulated the oxaloacetate to last you a month. There's 90 capsules per bottle taken at 3 a day lasts you 1 month. So that's the difference. So 100 milligrams is 1 capsule. And they're recommending 1,500 milligrams per day is what the study was for breast cancer. So hopefully that helps. It's a little confusing with some of these things. So the oxaloacetate CFS is what it's called now. Right now, they can only label it for chronic fatigue syndrome. The FDA came after them, made them take down their astrocytoma study, even though they had a peer-reviewed study for astrocytoma, which is a brain cancer, and they had peer-reviewed study for breast cancer. The FDA made them take that off. We can't put that on our site. It's insane. Okay. Lastly, finally, up to 2 scoops of Pectisol a day. I know you're having trouble with that. I saw it should be taken on an empty stomach. I don't think you need to take your Pectisol on an empty stomach. I've never said that. So I know they say that, but I don't think you need to take the Pectisol on an empty stomach. Okay, yes. We sell both the Benadryl and the oxaloacetate because not everybody needs a high dosage. So all right, well, we'll close out tonight. Thank you all for being a part of this. I know that praying for you guys, all of you guys this morning. And I just, you're always in my thoughts and prayers. And I thank you for praying for us. In case you joined late, our lawsuit against us from the Minnesota Board of Medical Examiners has been completely resolved. They basically, we came to an agreement, but they basically dropped everything. So it's totally a God thing. We just give praise and honor to him and know that your prayers have just helped. And we had to learn things from it too. I believe that God is sovereign. We learned different things that we had to do differently to protect ourselves so that it doesn't just happen again with somebody else. So if you're not from Minnesota, also you probably may not have heard the governor's race. Governor Tim Walz, who just won, who defeated this medical doctor from the Iron Range from way up north in Minnesota was running against him. He was much more conservative and he was very outspoken against all the COVID regulations. He had the Minnesota board come after him multiple times. They were all dismissed. And now he had a huge lawsuit like ours from the Minnesota board, signed by the Attorney General, who he was trying to oust as well. Just totally politically motivated. Please be praying for Dr. Scott Jensen. They're coming after him. They want to take his license and just destroy anybody that's trying to do anything good for people. So please be praying for him too. Keep him in your prayers. Thank you all. I love you all. And we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.